Okay, so in one of my recent videos, I showed a mechanic that apparently a lot of people were unaware even existed. So I real quickly wanted to show the mechanic and some of its potential. And yeah, we can just kind of rant on that for a moment. So first off, let me show you, there are two different eggs in the game. The egg that we're about to be talking about is not the summon egg, it is the summon hollow egg. Summon egg, all it does is summons like a little creature that fights for you. It's pretty garbage. Now, the summon hollow egg, what that is it's a trigger. It's an egg that triggers off the spell that's after it. So, for example, the spark trigger, when I shoot the spell after it, will pop up once this makes contact with something. So there you go. Spark trigger makes contact with the wall, fires off the mist. A lot of people know this. There's nothing advanced. The egg, however, the egg is something that a lot of people got confused about because they get that when you shoot it, it'll fire off the mists, but they didn't realize that if you shoot it up or, you know, however, maybe directly on the ground so it doesn't crack, that you can pick it up and it's in your inventory and it stores the spells still in it. So an hour later, if you throw that egg, it will still have that same mist from earlier. Now, when I showed this in the video, that a lot of people were surprised that it worked like that. I had an electric arc, I had homing, and then I had two mists on the egg. And I shot the egg directly up, and I caught it. So I held on to the egg for a moment, I found an enemy, and then I threw the egg, and the mist just blows them up. That's because the electric arc between the mists is doing tons of damage, and it stored this combination inside the egg. It's not necessary to have that on an egg. You know, you can have that on anything, but the egg is unique in the fact that it allows you to store that spell, and you can still fire it even without a single wand. You don't even have to have the same wand, but any wand at all. This egg will still carry that combo. Okay, so now you're starting to get the idea, right? Let's grab everything back up. So how is this useful? Basically, I mean, this isn't like something that you must know to get a win or anything like that. This is just a mechanic that exists that some players utilize and some players don't. So if you get an egg, and yes, you can store an egg in an egg. I guess I'd had that real quick so I could show you guys. You could store an egg in an egg. See, cracked 2 eggs. If you throw it, you catch it, and you still throw it down. Yes, it will have the egg in an egg. You can put an egg in an egg and have all these other spells. That it works that way too. But that's nothing amazing. The one thing I wanted to show off was the egg with the circle of shielding. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw it up in the air, we're going to catch it, and I'm now going to polymorph myself. So normally when a player does this, whenever they have an egg with a circle of shielding stored in this egg, the reason they do it is because if at any point in time in the run they get polymorphed, whether it's an enemy shooting out a shot at them, whether they step in poly or chaotic poly, whatever, what'll happen is this egg will actually lose the spell that's in it, and it will cast it immediately. So I'll show you what I mean by that. So we touch the polymorph, boom, the shield came out. And that makes it where I am now kind of safe from projectiles. Obviously, if an enemy walks in the shield and then shoots, I will be in big trouble. But yeah, the egg no longer has a shield stored in it. See that? This is a weird mechanic. I really doubt if this is, you know, something intentional, but it exists, and players sometimes utilize it because if you're going to fight something that's maybe going into like the mage's den where there's a ton of polymorph mages, you could carry one of those in case of emergency. I mean, people used to use this much more often back in the Noita days when there wasn't so many perks and a way to like get pretty much infinite rerolls. All that kind of stuff didn't exist. This was a mechanic that used to protect players. These days, you see some people run it from time to time, but it's a little bit overkill. It's not necessary. It's a person who's just playing very safe. But let me go ahead and show you another nice little combo. Now this one actually does have use still to this day, and every once in a while I still use it on stream, and that is the circle of vigor inside of an egg. Now again, you can throw it up in the air, it doesn't matter. You throw it in the water, you throw it up in the air, you catch it, catch this. Now the reason you would do this is if you have open flask slots, then instead of putting Circle of Vigor on a wand, when maybe later you may need to get rid of this wand if you come across something better, then you can put this up here and you still have the heal. 2 heals up here. See? Anytime you need them in the run, you can just bust out the egg. You're good to go. In fact, if you wanted to keep the Circle of Vigor here, you could still have the eggs up here. Then you would grab the refresh, and this would allow you to have the 2 charges here, and if you store eggs, you'd have more charges up there. So you'd have many Circle of Vigors. So that one's still pretty useful, and definitely something to consider. And one more thing I did want to touch on about the with the Summon Hollow Egg. This part's a little bit different, something that I just wanted to throw out there, because if you're trying to find some uses for the Hollow Egg while you're waiting to find maybe a Circle of Shielding or a Circle of Vigor, one that is pretty darn useful is the, well, I'll just show it like this. The Explosive Projectile Egg. This is actually pretty crazy. So watch this. I'm going to throw this egg at the statue. You see the damage? So there's 2 damage numbers that are popping up. The first damage is this little number here. It says 51. That damage is not damage that actually happens to an enemy or anything. That damage is literally what's happening to the egg. It's killing the egg off. If you throw it at an enemy, it doesn't do crap to him. It does nothing. However, if you have an explosive projectile attached to an egg and you throw it, it does 325 damage. The other number is the egg cracking, the 74, so don't pay attention to that because that's nothing. The 325, though, is actual damage that you would do to an enemy. Pretty much insta-killing a lot of enemies in the game. But one thing I want to point out about this is, watch this. Let's fire it real close. Yeah. It is dangerous to the player. It can hit for... It varies in damage how much it'll hit for. But yes, it can nearly one-shot me at almost 300 health. In this case, it only did a little bit. But I don't want to fire it again because it can pretty much kill me. So the way you could fire this safely is if you had explosion immunity. Then it won't hurt you. The explosion will not hurt you. I mean, you could maybe ignite you on fire a little bit there, but it won't hurt you. So that's how I suggest using it. In fact, I suggest you having explosion immunity and putting it on a spark trigger. That way you can fire it fast and from pretty far away. That way it, it just blows up, a decent ways away from you. With explosion immunity, it doesn't have to be so far away, but it's still kind of hard to hit enemies when you're lobbing your shots like that. And I guess one more thing I'll show off, just because now you're starting to get the idea of how to theory craft with it, come up with your own stuff. I mean, look, you can shove ducks, ducks inside of an egg, whatever you want. And again, you can throw it in the water if you're nervous about catching it, because sometimes if you're trying to stick some crazy spells in it, you may be nervous about throwing it in the air and then catching it, because you may, like, I don't know, panic and miss it, and then whatever you stored in it could go to waste. But what I wanted to show was a pretty crazy one. Let's just shove some nukes in this bad boy, because yes, even this works. So here's a giga nuke. Here's a regular nuke, and a regular nuke. The key thing to make sure that all of these store in the wand is to make sure that you have enough mana to cast everything on this wand one time. So this egg costs 30, this costs 2, this costs 500, the giga nuke. 200, 200, 200, and our total mana pool on the mana max on the wand is 1,850, so we have more than enough to survive it. So in this case, it's kind of scary though, throwing the egg directly up, because if you miss it, pretty much insta-kill you. So we could throw it down into the water. Yes, you see the kickback from all those nukes in there? So right here, this egg, it's this egg, I believe. Oh god, which egg was it? Which egg? I'm pretty sure. Okay, this is the heal, right? Oh god. Okay, whew. Whew, we're okay, guys. We're okay. The nukes are stored in this egg right here. That was the old Circle of Vigor that I had. And again, you can see that the charges are gone here. They don't even have to be on your wand. You could put these up. Heck, like I said, you don't even need to have a wand anymore. All those nukes are actually stored in this egg. And the moment I throw it, they will blow up and obliterate everything. So I'm assuming we'll die here by, well, maybe it'll throw us out of the way fast enough. Let's see. Man, threw us out of the way fast enough. Nice, nice. That was the Giga Nuke effect, if you're curious. Yeah, pretty... Oh, okay. Apparently... Oh, some of the nukes were still in the water. The nukes will fall slow whenever they're going through water. Kind of surprised they didn't all detonate at once, but it happens. So yes, there was 3 nukes and a Giga Nuke, so pretty much 4 nukes stored in an egg. The possibilities, I mean, there's a lot to think on with this. With that said, it doesn't mean that every idea will be a good one. As you can see, that probably was pretty ridiculous. Plus, keep in mind, if you do keep something that does damage in the egg in your inventory, and you step in polymorph, you're probably going to instantly kill yourself. So good luck out there, be safe, and I'll see you guys later. Deuces.